In this lesson, we'll look at creating meta tags in Dreamweaver. To get started, I'll bring up the site that we've been working on in Chapter 10 and open up my lesson_01_home HTML file. Before I do anything, I'll switch over to the code view and take a look at what I have inside my file. I can see inside the head element of my page that I already have one meta tag. And I'll clean up my head element a little bit by outdenting the closing head tag so it's a little easier to see what's contained inside the head element. And on the fourth line, I can see that I already have one meta tag. This meta tag is necessary as part of my doc type declaration so that this page will validate as valid XHTML 1.0 transitional. I just mentioned that because this is an example of a meta tag that is necessary for the page to perform properly, but is not part of the visible content to the viewer. We're going to add two other meta tags to this file, which will not be part of the visible experience for the viewer looking at this page, but could be responsible for helping the viewer find this page from a search engine. What I'll do to get started is position my cursor after the closing caret of my meta tag, and notice that my meta tag is an empty element. It does not have a closing tag. The / caret at the very end of the tag is essentially the closing tag combined with the opening tag, giving us our empty element. That's not something that you can do. That's not something that you can make up. That's just the way that meta tags work. There is no closing tag, as with other empty elements, such as image and break. But now, what we're interested in is creating a meta tag which might help people find our page. We're going to create a description and a keywords meta tag, which will help search engine algorithms understand the contents of our page. To get started, we'll type the open caret meta and then type a spacebar. Immediately as soon as I type the space key, Dreamweaver recognizes that I'm opening a new meta tag, and it shows me the list of available attributes in a pop-up that I might wish to use with this tag, which is extremely helpful and removes the need for you to remember what attributes are available for this element. In this example, I wish to select the name attribute, and I'll use the down arrow key on my keyboard to select name and press return on my keyboard. As soon as I do that, I have a name attribute added to this new element. The cursor is positioned inside the quotes, and the list of available values is presented to me immediately. Again, another instance of Dreamweaver helping me. We've seen examples of Dreamweaver's design interface helping us. Now we're seeing examples of the code view helping us. For this first meta tag, I'll move down in my pop-up list using the down arrow key and select description by clicking on the return key with description selected. Now I'm going to continue populating attributes for this tag by typing the space bar on my keyboard, and I'm going to select content. As soon as I type the return key on my keyboard to select the content attribute, I'm presented with two quotes, and it's within these quotes that I'll enter a simple description about the nature of this web page. I will keep that description to approximately 75 characters. And I'm doing that on purpose. The reason that I'm doing that is when you go and search on something using a search engine, the organic results, which are the default non-paid results which you see in the center of the screen, are largely derived from the values that you specify in your page title and your page description and keywords. There are other factors that are a part of determining your placement in the search engine algorithm. These are not all of the options. However, these are very, very important because if you search on anything, look at the link that is returned to you, the link that's usually delivered to you with the color blue. That link is usually the title element of the page that you're linking to. You have control over that. Also, underneath those title links, you'll see a sentence or two of information. describing what that link does. That text description usually comes from a meta tag with a description attribute, which we're creating right now. Search engine algorithms look for these meta tags and process them when indexing your site. You can help yourself by making the investment in time to describe the contents of your page, which I might do right now just by typing some text along the lines of my astronomy hobby website. Now this is just a little bit of text and I'm just being brief because this is an example. But one thing you want to keep in mind is you don't want your description to generally be more than 75 characters in length, because more often than not, that's the maximum amount of text that the search engine results will display for you. Now that I've populated some content into my content attribute, I'll type the spacebar, and I'm going to close this element. Now, to close it, I can type the / and then type the closing caret. But if I didn't do that, after the closing quote of the content attribute, if I typed space and just typed the closing caret, Dreamweaver adds the / for me, because Dreamweaver knows that I'm creating XHTML 1.0 transitional because of what we set in our preferences and the doc type that we added to the very top of this file. Now before I do anything else, from the File menu I'll select Save. Now I'm going to create a keyword meta tag. Again, I'll start just as I did a moment ago and type meta and type the spacebar. And again, I'll select name as my attribute. But instead of description, I'll select keywords. Now, I'm going to type the spacebar on my keyboard and again select content as my attribute. But this time, instead of adding 75 characters of text, I'm going to add a maximum of 12 to 15 keywords that describe the content of my page, such as, in the context of this example, astronomy, space, nebulas, hobby, and so on and so forth. The reason why you don't want to have more than 12 to 15 keywords on your page, generally speaking, is that you want to help the search engine understand how your content is good for a person. You might be tempted, or you might have the thought that, well, I'll just populate this content field with all the keywords that I can think of, and I'll try to also find out ones I can't think of from other people, and put all those keywords in here, and that'll help my search engine results. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Search engine algorithms are very powerful. They look at this content and they cross-reference it with the rest of the copy on your page. If you want to help your position in search engines, always bear in the back of your mind that if it's good for a person, it's good for the search engine results. Related to this, speaking about your page content, if you're providing copy, the actual words that someone is reading on your page, with the intention of them reading it, not just looking at it as reference material, keep the contents of your individual page to approximately a page and a half of printed copy. Search engines recognize about a page and a half, and that's about 1,500 words of copy, as being something that an individual could read in a single reading easily. Bearing that in mind, it's difficult to imagine that you would need more than 12 to 15 keywords to describe the contents of a page and a half of text. But, bearing that in mind, I'll now go and close my meta tag by typing the space key and typing the / and closing caret, or just type closing caret and let Dreamweaver put in the / for you.